In this video, I'm going to explain how you should spend that final week before you take your FE Civil exam, what you should study, how much you should study, and how to mentally prepare for the test and the mental voyage you are about to begin. Hello everybody, my name is Joseph. I run FE Exam Prep Solutions. I passed my FE Civil and PE Civil exams on my first try. I'm here to share information on how to help other engineers do that. So if you'd like to check out my free resources like my 90-day FE study plan, you can find that in the description down below, as well as you can contact directly at my email to get direct help passing your FE exam. In this video, I want to dive into the strategies that week before your test. So let's say you're taking your FE exam on a Monday and you have all the way the weekend before and then that weekend just before the test to prepare. How much should you study? What should you be doing and what should you be focusing on? Well, that week before the test, you're going to want to spend a lot of your time generally reviewing topics and keeping your mind fresh. At this point, you're not going to learn or deep dive into any more important topics. That's what the months before the test were for you to get into the nitty-gritty of the different subjects and really get them down cold. Now it's your job to keep your mind refreshed and replaying some of these things so that when you get to test day, you are able to recall and retrieve these things fairly quickly. Also, you want to spend most of that time not overstudying, but keeping with your regular life routines to keep your body on a good schedule. Continue to exercise and eat well, and particularly sleep well that week before the test. Test day, you're going to have some anxiety before. That's just unavoidable. You're going to be feeling a little nervous. Instead of trying to prevent that, just prepare for that. Get good and rested, exercise, eat well, keep your brain in good shape, try to avoid other forms of stress and other stressful things going on in your life. Just tell other people in your life, hey, I'm preparing for this exam. I'm trying to just ignore other stressors right now. Can you just help accommodate me as I am trying to do that? In terms of your review strategy, you're going to want to go over the topics that have the most questions, as I often preach on this channel. Topics like structural, water resources, transportation, statics, topics like that with 10, 12 or more questions, and review the overall concepts. It's also good to continue to do practice problems, but at this point, you're not going to be wanting to do super long sessions for 2 or 3 hours doing practice problems. You actually need to give your brain some time before the test to take a break and regain some energy. So make sure to go over all the topics in general. How would you approach the certain problems? Map out in your head, what equations do I usually use? Where do I look on the FE reference manual? What is the general approach when tackling reactions in a beam problem, for example? Do some basic problems like that, but don't spend your time going through every calculation and ruining your confidence before the exam. You actually want to be feeling very confident heading into the exam. So do a couple easier problems, get some of that momentum, and generally cover the topics you need to know before the exam. Like I said, you're not going to cram and learn any new information really before the test unless you've been a bit underprepared. But the point here is to just review for that final session and that final test taking path. Now, 3 to 4 days before the exam, you're going to want to slowly curtail and start studying less to give your brain some time to rest. This is just super important that I think a lot of people overlook when they're about to go take the exam. Is you want to give your brain at least 1 day of no studying, and preferably before that day of no studying, a couple days of light studying and light review, and actually let your brain kind of focus on other things. Just stay relaxed and avoid stress, particularly the day before. So if you're taking your test on a Monday, on that Sunday, I would do no studying. If you want to spend 10 minutes reviewing some equations or reviewing some basic stuff, that's fine, but nothing more than 10 or 15 minutes, and certainly no deep studying. You need every little bit of energy for that exam tomorrow. And like I said, you're not going to learn anything new. So before I took my PEs and FEs, I spent the day before doing nothing, just relaxing, not doing any hard work, and letting my brain rest. And especially for my PE, I spent about 2 or 3 days before really not doing any hardcore studying. I remember I'd look at some notes for about 10 minutes just to make myself feel good, to feel like I wasn't losing any of the information that I was studying. I would briefly overlook some notes, and then mentally I go, okay, that's enough. What I know is what I know, and I'm going to go into the test and do my absolute best. And the day before the test, just spend your time preparing. Bring the snacks and food that you're going to eat during the exam. Remember, this is a 6-7 hour, and especially if you're commuting, a lot of people I know have to commute to the exam. It could be an 8 or 9 hour, in entirety of the test taking situation between your commute, arriving, and then getting there. Make sure you have your address to your test center written down somewhere or in your phone. Just have all that ready to go the morning before the exam. Have your calculator out, your water, your snacks, the materials you usually bring, wear something comfortable, and just allow yourself to mentally take care of all that the night before the test. Try to go to bed early, get some sleep. I remember my FE exam, luckily, I think was actually at noon. So I got to sleep a lot before it, but my PE was bright and early at 8 a.m. So what I actually did to train myself for an early test taking day is I spent the months beforehand actually waking up much earlier than I usually did. And maybe many of you wake up at 6 or 5:30 a.m. usually. I don't. I'm kind of a late riser. So I actually got up at 6 a.m. for a couple months in a row just to train myself to be awake that early. Don't go into that with your body unprepared. So that is the general study, test taking, and approach before taking your exam, especially the week before of the FE Civil. If you have any questions about my process, leave a comment down below. These are some of my tips that I think are really helpful and will help you guys perform better on the exam. If you're about to go into your exam, good luck. And if you're about to begin your test taking journey, like I said, you can download that 90-day plan or get direct help from me to help you pass the FE, hopefully on your first try. And if it's your second try, we'll get that down for you as well. So thank you so much for watching. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video.